Hey, Gopal. Puneet, could you please unmute?
I have muted everyone. Gopal, you will need to unmute yourself if you are on mute.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah. Fair enough. Go ahead, please.
Fine. Thank you for the introduction and thanks for giving me this opportunity. Am I loud and clear, first of all?
Yep.
Okay. Now, whether I call this session impact of videos as a learning medium, or if you were to look at the poster and say product videos under 10 minutes, I'm actually referring to the same thing. And I would love to start off by asking the forum, all of you all, just take a corollary that I would like to say with you. How many of you have been in the system where you brought a household article and probably had to go through a manual? I'm sure at least 25% of this audience has probably seen that good old manual where you probably either skimmed through it or just tucked it aside. That was one set of the cycle. Come the next set of cycle where technology advanced, you brought an equipment in your household, and this chap gave you a CD and said that you can run the CD on your desktop, no need for manual, so we kiss the manuals goodbye, right? So the CD was like, you would run it, it used to be smaller than our normal stuff, but then it was what you called a self-start, auto-start kind of thing, which automatically kind of displayed the product and gave you all the good details that you want to know about. That was technology phase 2. Cut to technology phase 3. Today, we are hounded from, let us say, 2015 or earlier than that by something on YouTube, where all of us are thoroughly fixated by something that happens all under 10 minutes or learning within 8 minutes. This has been the latest trend and is slowly developing into a trend that you have to live with. Now, in 2015, slide number 2, please. This is going to be the crux of what I intend to cover. I shared an immediate example as corollary of something that we use currently, and I'm slowly going to go into what we need, and then I'll be taking time off for about 5 slides where I tell you about what you need in terms of how to create, what is it in terms of the script that is going to sell, and of course, compile the whole thing, a little bit of the experience that I underwent or saw a team of my good old colleagues in my ex-organization do. I will share a little bit of that knowledge. And while we've all gone through the cycle of, let us say, SDLC and map it to DDLC, there is an advancement phase that is coming up. It is called VDLC, and it is governed by some tools. What it is, we will see when we come to that appropriate point of time. Right? Can we move further? Now, I gave you a corollary. Now I want to take you to the actual of today. When you cut to today from 2015, there is this guy called Dave Hacks, DAVEHAX. And from 2015 onwards, this guy has been developing a series of videos, and they are called how-to videos. Tripti, can you move forward and run that video? This video is titled, How to Fold a T-shirt in 2 seconds. Listen to it if the audio is good. That's all it takes to fold a t-shirt. So in 1 minute and 85 seconds, this guy has folded a t-shirt for you and told you what to do. Now, there are several such videos that Dave Hacks has probably created. If you look up Dave Hacks on YouTube, you will notice that the total number of videos created by this chap is somewhere close to 25 or 30. On 11th November 2016, when he created this video, it had 1.1 million hits. This morning, before getting into the session, when I checked, the number of hits had already crossed somewhere close to 33 million. So between 2016 and today, you can see the amount of viewership that has gone for a very small video, all under 2 seconds, right? So now this is what I'm going to extrapolate in my session and say, we need to take this concept further, because what we are trying to explain cannot be done in 2 seconds like he has folded the t-shirt, right? We will need to delve into our product, speak a little about it, and share some amount of knowledge that says that, look, something can be achieved not in 10 minutes, but under 10 minutes. And that kind of stays. So now let's get into the house of all that can be done. Tripti, moving forward. This is definitely what you call a entire strategy shift that is happening in the form of learning. Now, I want to lay some background out here, which is coming up in a later slide, but I thought it is necessary to lay the foundation here. Sometime back, all of us in the corporate setup were using a VNet or a phone called the Polycom. I hope you remember that product. The Polycom was not very user-friendly, and over a period of time, corporates decided that Polycom should not be our way of life. Let's get into Cisco, because Cisco is not Cisco is very user-friendly, and it is definitely having a lot more advantages that it offers as a product. Now, I brought in a YouTube video out there talking about that product. I'm not a Cisco product evangelist, I must admit, but at the same time, I would like you to take a look at that video post-session that is there when the PPT is shared. Now, what happened was, in Polycom, there were certain restrictions. But when I actually wanted to do a Cisco installation, I did not have to take the necessity of my IT people. Cisco had a built-in e-learning simulation, and that e-learning simulation was probably the earliest start to something called product videos, the earliest start. So what would happen is, on screen itself, if I do the projection, it will simulate something and say, give me the steps in terms of how that can be done. Cut very far. Today, you're seeing a series called The Good Doctor on various OTT platforms. And this guy kind of sits and imagines what the entire human system looks like. Now, that's something where we're probably getting to. And let's hope that happens very soon. Probably our TWT newsletters that laid the foundation for AI, and the forthcoming sessions, the forthcoming articles will also lay the foundation for what's in it for us in future. But this is exactly where we're headed for. So if we have to make a subtle shift from, let's say, 200 pages of a good old user manual, or let us say first 4 chapters of something that has to be administered to a certain audience, I think instead of a cumbersome 100 pages, 150 pages of printout, which they still demand to meet certain what you call standards of quality, I would still like to say that if we are able to convince them, look, can I give you a product video under 10 minutes? I am sure most of the clients will tell us, yes, please do that. We'll only be too happy. So now what you can do is, your entire catalog of user manuals that you probably had can slowly be cataloged as product videos or learning mediums under 10 minutes and proceed forward. Right? Now, how would we go about it? Tripti, please move to the next slide. Now, this is exactly what it is. The industry today is demanded by this particular activity. If you look at this infographic, it says any video or any traffic on the internet goes by this particular infographic. It says that to generate 51% traffic, you need to create upwards of 70% brand awareness. And how will you look at it? Because you create that kind of awareness, there will be at least close to 31% conversion, out of which you are able to generate close to 34% sales. And most of them are generated through videos. Most of them. It's these videos that give you that prompting that, why don't you tell me something more, and you click. To that extent, they have to grab your attention. If they don't grab your attention, then what will you do? In 2 seconds flat, you get out and you do not want to pay your attention anymore to that particular aspect. For that, what are the fundamental ingredients? Just like I say, cooking is a hobby. And if you want to make a good dish, you need all the ingredients in place, plus what you call, the hands of a good cook. If you go wide on the salt or on the sweet concept, you kind of messed up on the dish. Similarly, any product video also needs some killer ingredients. It probably needs what you call that immediate grabbing the user by the eyeballs. Then it needs a good script. And of course, not to mention, that script should be backed up by a very good tone. You do not want a session that opens up where somebody goes into a sing-song lullaby mode and puts you off to sleep at 10:30 a.m. in the morning. You definitely want a tone that you're tuned to listen to, and you're also focused, and at the same time, devoid of crutch words. Because we all come from IT, I would definitely say, let us not get into a presentation mode where we all think we are CEOs and need basically those kind of crutch words to get to the next. You could take a pause, think about whatever you're trying to say, and then move on and come up with your words. This is one classic instance I use now. I don't want to get into a counting mode of how many knows or how many basicallys were used at the end of the presentation when I come to the end. The fourth ingredient is that humor has to be used as a part of your message, but humor cannot be the message itself where you're saying, yeah, please may I evoke a laugh now. It's not a stand-up comedy. It's a product video that we're trying to sell, right? That link which I provided below the infographic gives you almost recent 2021 March 11th, about close to 44 valid data points or stats that you can infer from that particular report, which you can view offline. Okay, so post session, I would definitely advise you get into this particular link and take a look at those marketing statistics. Now, it is very vital. Your visual presentation will probably ease out some of the complex instructions and technical procedures. They say, it's so true, a picture is more than 1,000 words. And that's how the newsletter message also came to us. Send us the images separately. So I'm trying to relate A and B together as to how much a visual will help more than. How do you conceptualize the visual presentation? You have to cater to the increased need of audio and visual content in professional environment. You have to mix and match the two, for which if you use excesses of images, you should know which software will support. So then leads us to another intriguing question in our mind. What software can I use? How will this work? And what is the media that I'm addressing? Who is the audience who's likely to see me? So is it an e-learning audience who probably need something called a Q&A session going on? Or is it going to be just a video which is running for 10 minutes, but with good background voice? You need to take that call. And then even in your audio visual content, you have to make sure that you are not larger than the presenter itself. Do not give a paragraph on your slide. I'm sure we all know this, but still we make that mistake. How many of us have sat through a technical presentation where the presenter is just giving me exact verbatim of whatever I have put into the slide? Never do that. I can already read the slide content. Now, what more are you trying to add? That what you tell the audience is exactly what needs to be the crux of your thing. So hold back. Do not reveal anything upfront onto that slide. Hold back. You as a presenter need to be larger than the slide itself. Who will consume these videos? The stats very clearly says that if the stuff is good, then 40% of your users are definitely going to take a look at the video. And on the internet today, more than 72% of the millennials will stay with your video only if it hits bang on. Otherwise, they'll just walk out. I don't know how many of you have gone around a desk recently where our millennial folks are working. You will be surprised to see a poster. The poster very clearly screams at you. When I come to the end of the session, I'll tell you what the poster is. Now I don't want to affect the flow, neither do I want to call it like, something that's very necessary. But at the end of the session, I'm definitely ending with the poster. Can we move to the next slide, Tripti? This is an interesting infographic that I compiled initially. It says that when you are trying to do the task of video creation, mostly it will be the technical communication team that is called for. That's because we come with a set of ideas. Now, here is an experience that I definitely want to share as part of my ex organization. They gave us a task to do 4 sets of videos. One is a legacy product, 2 are the latest products which they wanted to be represented at an international forum, and the third is probably a database product. Now, what happened was the technical writing team got together. They decided that, look, who is the best fit for what can actually happen. So when we brainstormed and did, there were few people who are very good at their PPT activity. So that person was given the task of actually creating the graphics in PPT. And mind you, for reasons good known, because of the medium that we are projecting and the audience that we are projecting to, we kept away from using hardcore images or graphics. I will come to that in a while. Then we had a set of absolute, 1-year-olds to 2-year-olds in the system. Along with technical writing, they have got very good creative abilities. They're good at probably dance. They're good at singing. They're very good at, trying to decipher what is it that is the complete song by just humming. Now, when you have such creative kind of skills, why not tap into their ability to come up with some bit of iconic work and some bit of, let's say, graphic animation? So we entrusted that job to them. At this point of time, mind you, we did not have access to the corporate design library. It was completely the technical writing team's effort. And I must give kudos to that team, which is a group of 20 writers spread across 2 locations. But when they came together, it was magic. I really appreciate that team. But what happened here was, you should know that these videos come up with a statement of, what is it that you can tell me more? Now, when you do that kind of stuff, magic gets created when you involve what you call multitasking, people thinking with creative abilities, and put together. The end product will be something which is complex to read and understand, but easy to comprehend by looking at the video. This is exactly where you need to know what is the right tool, in this case, the right software to produce the video. Now, I would have probably touched on 2 points. One is, I said the statistics, then I gave you how do you plan and conceptualize. Now, this is not enough. Tripti, can we move to the next slide, please? Can I go into my poll question number 1? Can you push the poll question 1? Puneet, can you push the poll question 1, please?
It's done.
You can answer. The audience may answer the poll question.
I'm getting an error message. There was a problem reaching this app.
It is not allowing you to select a checkbox and click submit?
No, I'm just getting an error message like there was a problem reaching this app. That's it.
Okay, then leave it. I think there might be some problem.
Okay.
There,
Fine. To give you an answer.
In general, it is working for all. So there might be individual problem. No issue.
Okay.
Yes, I could do it.
So in the chat box, so all of you can see the percentage of responses.
I too couldn't get the options.
Right. Can you tell me what the answer is?
Well, so we have around 46 responses. 80% say 44%, 10% say 34%, 8% say 31%,
The
10%.
8% is right, incidentally.
Yeah.
The 8% is right, incidentally, because it is 31% conversion, which actually look in terms of the numbers that you get converted. Because without converting, you don't have a customer, right? 34% is the sales. 31% is the conversion. Okay, thank you. So now let's come to the hook, line, and kill. Tripti, hook, line, and kill slide, please.
It's there, right?
Yeah. Now, I mentioned the stats. I mentioned about how you plan and conceptualize. This is a very interesting concept. It's borrowed from phishing. In phishing, it is called hook, line, and sinker. But when I translate that into applying for a product video, my fundamental goal is to make sure that what I say in the background, along with the animation, accentuated properly with the right mix of words, hits home the message. So then you have to decide, for a script to be very catchy, what would you do to go in for hook, line, and kill? When I say kill, I'm getting the eyeballs of the user fixated beyond the required 2 seconds, and he's literally begging for what more can I get to see here. The audience attention is now on your video. So what does that you have to do? Anything. Today we shop. We look for household commodities. Why is it that you're fixated towards a particular brand? And why? What is it that probably attracts you most? It's the initial offers, the way they promote that particular offer, and the service that they provide, right? Similarly, your product video has to do a lot of talking there. And for doing the necessary talking, you conceive a very good script. In this script, you have to take care. You will make sure that the focus is on the audience, and hence the words you or your have a lot of importance to build upon. Ultimately, you are buying the product. This is meant for your use. Without this, you can see in what point of time your workload is reduced. Now, when the emphasis is all on us, it kind of prompts us to do more. How you go and make that impression is that you use the right kind of tones and voices. Now, here is where I would like to relate to what they did. The right software, when we sat and did an analysis, can lead to another debate or discussion at the end of this particular session, which is a better product too, because we are all coming from that community. But please understand, there is A, Captivate for us, and B, there was Camtasia for us. We did a pros and cons analysis. Finally, we went the Captivate way. The reason being, we had one major disadvantage in Camtasia. Camtasia was installed in 2 locations, the primary locations being where the development was required more for high-end graphics. If we had to probably use the license being as part of same location, because we were located in yet another building, it became highly cumbersome to completely uninstall Camtasia at the games location and reuse it in the where the technical writers were sitting. Now that was fundamentally one of the core issues where we decided, no, we are not going with Camtasia, and stuck to Adobe Captivate. I know I'm opening up a hornet's nest. Some of you may argue, no, you're wrong. Fine, we'll take that up, because I know when I did my groundwork for this particular session that Camtasia versus Captivate is an entirely new webinar by itself. It needs that 1 hour where we can, all brainstorm. So for this now, I will let it pass. You should also have your message sinking in for the audience in the background. So for that, each frame that you talk, make sure you do not include more than 100 or 125 words. And humor to be part and parcel of what you're trying to say and not the content itself. These things, if you are trying to take over, you will be very, very clear that the message is hitting home. At the same time, I have a tendency to talk fast. I'm not sure if I'm rushing through. Am I? Audience question. Am I rushing through? Am I too fast?
No, you're fine.
No, Gopal.
No, you're fine. You're good.
Exactly why I'm coming to the last point. Do not skimp through or do not rush over the script that you're trying to incorporate into the product video. That's exactly why I prompted and asked that question. Because if I were too fast, you would never get the crux. Similarly, the 100 and 125 words have to be modulated into that particular frame very judiciously, that you are able to get the message of whatever you're trying to say in that one frame. Next slide, please. Now comes to the all-important question. These are some of the attention span techniques that you can use. I initially had a rough slide, but thanks to PowerPoint's latest design ideas that they've incorporated, I have been able to choose an appropriate slide that probably is well thought out in itself. This slide and the next slide are like that because of the design ideas that PowerPoint offers. Over a period of time, thanks to various backend incorporations, this version of PowerPoint looks a little more better. But then if you go back and see, there is this guy called Guy Kawasaki, who promotes a blog called Zen Ideas. He is very clear. Avoid Microsoft PowerPoint. Use photographs that you clicked on your camera as your background images. Now, that again is a huge gap. But then why am I telling you all this is because the slide also needs to have your attention. So under these 6 points, I'm trying to tell you what is there. I will not kind of read out whatever is there. I will take a minute of silence. I will allow this message to sink in because this is a self-reading slide unto itself. I don't think I have to kind of parrot out what is there because it's all self-explanatory to me. And post the session, what I want you to do is I want you to visit that particular source file that I've mentioned out there. Even in the previous slide, what I had done is I have incorporated a WhatsApp video, which has been quite popular, about a guy begging on the platform and then a lady coming and rewriting his word, which says that I'm unable to see the light of the day, or how beautiful the day is. Can you be kind to me, or something to that effect? I don't remember the exact words. And then the coins roll in. So that's the power of the script that you produce. So even though you're blind and on the streets asking for alms, you're still getting the coins coming in. That's exactly what the word can do, right? So take a minute back, allow this to sink in. Can we move to the next slide? This is again another InDesign related aspect. On the right hand side is what I said, that Cisco IP phone very early. This is exactly which I took it up in the initial, and now I'm going to delve onto the left hand side. This again are 6 very vital points which you can self-read to yourself. And one supplemental reading that I recently came across PC World, it's a detailed article. I advise all of you to go and download this article. It's an excellent reference material on do you know how videos are made. I would advise, please download this article and keep it, a technical writers or communication teams keepsake article. This is. Print it, file it, imbibe it. It's so good. It has helped me through this presentation in terms of taking a lot of vital stuff. Right?
1 minute.
Can you? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, can you please? Sorry.
Somebody is trying to say something. Sorry.
Yeah, can you please share the link in the chat? The link that we see in the PPT in the presentation, could you please share it in the chat?
So
Okay.
we will be sharing the presentation as well as some additional reading materials after the session. If that would be okay, can do that at a later stage.
Okay.
All these are reference materials which are being given source credits to. So you have it as a part of the PPT. You can take it from there.
Oh, okay.
Now, having looked at these two slides, Puneet, poll question 2, please. You are able to see that?
Yes,
This
we
is
are
a
able
sit.
to see now.
Yes, yes.
This is a sitter of a question. I'm sure if you've been following it, it's too easy. Have the answers come, Puneet? I've not deviated from my slide presentation to avoid losing it, but if somebody can read out the poll results, I'll tell you that whether the majority has got it.
Hi, Gopal. Sandeep here.
Tell me,
Uh,
Sandeep.
I like to inform that we have close to 75 participants. So far we have received only 40 responses. I would request you to wait for at least 60 responses to give out the answers.
You can give it to me at the end of the session. Can I proceed with your permission? Or with the audience permission, I can proceed?
Yes.
So we received
I'll just tell you the result. So hook line kill 84% people, and hook line sinker 7%, and hook line skill 9%.
So if you've answered it as hook, line, and kill, then you're right. That's what the slide talks, right? It's hook, line, and kill.
Yes,
right?
84%.
Yeah, that's it. The audience poll is right, just like you say in KBC. So this is about how we've gone about doing it. Now, while we are in the product knowledge slide, I want to share some background about how we went about in Adobe Captivate. So there was a PPT that was developed in Captivate. There were graphics that were actually drawn. Now, one disadvantage which when I compile a project using images is that the images don't get built into the final project that I built in using these two software from Adobe. So the entire team that sat and worked on these product videos did away with images or borrowing high-end resolution images that were found on the web. Each and every component was hand-drawn or created using something called web icons, black and white. There is a series called web icons, black and white. If you can look up them, you will find that you can utilize these web icons for different purposes. Where I work currently at IQVIA, at the corporate level, we have got something called the icon library, which I'm sure would be replicated across all your organizations too by the corporate, and which kind of keeps getting addendum just like your corporate library template and corporate presentation point template and gets pushed to all of us, right? Similarly, you can build a technical writers library of icons, which we would use in our job regularly and keep that aside. Now, for these product videos, this team of 20 did that. Someone who did all of this work had with her a web icon black and white library. And she used that extensively and very nicely by setting the size of that web icon that she borrowed on the web at size 0.5, 0.5 in terms of height and width. This is another tip. Set it down to 0.5 for height and 0.5 for width. The icon sits very beautifully wherever it wants, even inside probably a text box or something that you may borrow from your PPT library. When you do that, and coming to the script, the notes pages of the PPT was filled with script, and when we pushed it to Captivate, what we did was to avoid any sort of distortion or any activity that does not happen. We went into a room with isolated environment so that the recording could happen correctly. Then there is an additional product that I want to talk to you about. This is called Neo Speeches from available on the web. If you look up a product called Neo Speeches on the web, you will find there are several voices And the latest version of Adobe Captivate 2019 has something close to, I think, 11 or 13 voices with different tones and accentuations and different people, and also voices in French and few other languages too. You would decide on the best fit. So when we decided to actually create a product, what trial did we deploy? We developed that product for 1 minute, had a voiceover, and then went and presented to the audience. Now, typically, we took it to the managing director, board level audience for their concurrence, saying that the technical communication team is doing this as a sample. We would like you to vet it and say whether it meets the brief. Now, please understand our audience levels are different. They are actually people working in casinos. So in a casino, you may find people who are doing summertime part-time jobs, or who are fresh from high school, who want to take up a job as a what you call a literary attendant, or let us say somebody sitting behind the cash till. So when the client segment is distorted like this, he or she is ideally looking at not having that intellectual knowledge to grasp by reading, but by seeing and viewing, assimilation is better. That being the audience, what we did was, when we took it to the board of managers for approval, this 1 minute video came back to us with a very vital feedback. The majority of the population sitting on the board, being the men folk, said, can we have a neo voice which has got a lady articulating? Now that sets the ball rolling for saying which voice is the best fit. Now, as ladies, you may beg to differ. We'd like to hear a guy speaking. If you say, please feel free. Neo Speeches is doing that. All right. You can combine these two and then produce the best video that you want to see to sell your product. All of these product videos, the legacy product, 2 products, latest product that they wanted representation, and one a database product, all address a certain situation. What is the problem? How can it be solved? By solving this, where do we get to? If you address along these 3 lines, your video is more than made. So focus on that. To give you a little more insights, this morning, thanks to Tripti's Adobe Spark graphic that she shared at the beginning of this particular, as a precursor to the session, like more of a thing, I was able to kind of go and see how Adobe Spark, which is the latest addition to the Adobe suite of products, is able to do a video also. So post this session, you can have a look at that 8-minute video that has been developed by Adobe, which talks about creating a video using Adobe Spark. Right? So just look up, YouTube will throw up that video in probably the 3rd the search link, and you can have a look at the YouTube video there, how to use Adobe Spark to create a video. Next slide, please. Now comes to this advancement that I'm talking about. We had SDLC, we had DDLC to compensate. So you map your DDLC alongside SDLC. We are moving forward. It's called Video Development Lifecycle. That's what VDLC stands for. Next slide, please. Now, can you push the last poll question for me?
The question is on the screen. Please respond. We'll give 10 seconds more, Gopal, for the response.
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
Okay, so we have around 47 responses. So out of those, 70% say people must feel what is in it for me in the introduction. 26% say people must feel, tell me more in the introduction. 3% feel people must feel, tell me your experience in the introduction.
The 27% who said, tell me more are right. Because that's what you should do, right? As you observed in the slide, it's not what's in for me, but it's more of feeling the necessity to tell me more, which leads you to click on that video. Hence, that's the right answer. Fine. Now, I am in slide number 12, VDLC advancements. Now, the next two slides before concluding the presentation is from a company called Text2Media, where they have come up with a structured platform itself to come up with your videos. Now, we guys are kind of looking at what is the best fit, how to do our script and all that. But in terms of a video development lifecycle, here is a company that has already thought way ahead, incorporated all that we are doing, bringing in concepts of data, XML, structured authoring into their video development lifecycle to create a product that is able to do all of that. So what they have done is, because they have XML and structured input, they are able to say one script across diverse media. They have managed that. Then they have bifurcated their video concept itself, so you can come up with how-to videos on the one side which simulate learning. You can also have customer need-based videos which address a specific problem, right? Where, let us say, for an example that we took with the beginning of the session in terms of, let's say, a product manual, or let us say how to solve a problem in querying using DB Mongo, or how to optimize a database using SQL, the latest version. Something like that, which is a commonly felt problem by the DB team, which comes to us. We would have probably written a KB, or we would have probably come up with a database administrator's guide. How about shrinking the database administrator's guide in under 10 minutes, which is used in the induction program for the DB team? Even that was particular requirement that we started with. We addressed that problem initially before even we got into the videos. Or I may say the product videos led to this, vice versa. The team came forward. You said, you guys are good at developing your videos. We saw all your videos. Now you're given us a DB administrator's guide. Can you go one step further? Shrink the database administrator's guide into how my DBAs, newcomers to the team, should actually address the problem. What are the steps involved? Can you create an under 10-minute video? And they gave us all the inputs, and that was done. So that's a customer need-based video. What are you trying to address there? Ultimately, how to make life easy. So what do? Timing, make that video short and sweet, a principle that we have been professing ever since the technical communication industry was in existence. KISS was something we swore by. And based on the type of video, you decide on what is it that your media should contain, how much of automation should be there or animation should be there, has all been thought out. They've also gone further, right? And introduced the last 3 points. Ultimately, what they're doing is that for a concept, you're developing a solution, but the solution should also be not too costly or overbearing on the company. Obviously, you don't want your entire team pushing aside their core activity and looking at this as their job, where the job profile says technical communication. So we forget our core bread and butter and sit and do only videos. Sorry, that's not the intention. Company is not spending money on us, or the profit system is not there where, you know, our job profile gets changed. That cannot happen. So you have to think of cost reduction too. Then comes the last slide. Mnemonics is something that I've always shown by when I learn some concept. So if you remember that last part of it, remember DSCLMFP. I know I had a professor for mercantile law who wanted to tell me what are the principles of mercantile law. So if you look at it, he said there are 10 here and 10 there, and then gave me a mnemonic to remember. He said, remember it as mad pet carpet. So if you elaborate mad pet carpet, all the 18 laws of mercantile law are there for you to remember. Same way. So that kind of stuck very early in the system. So now I'm saying, remembering it as DSCLMFP, I know that whenever you have to do videos, these are the things that you have to remember. I will not spend time on this slide much, but it is there for you to assimilate. Once you decide on how it is, please understand, do not have any inhibitions. Your final output, happily push it as an MP4 output or something that understands the latest. Don't go in for a WMV file or don't go in for some outdated technology whereby sitting and converting that outdated technology to something that is the latest is a problematic area for you. That's exactly why you have to be extremely careful if you're trying to get something recorded using some, a specific company output format. I had this huge problem when you try to kind of, when you're sitting across. I'm not able to get the name instantly, sorry. But then, we have these learning sessions going on, and they have what you call company specified formats. It's a .ocf file that I get it. I'll come to the product. I'm not able to show clearly remember, but it comes as an OCF format. OCF format is not recognized. Now, sitting and converting OCF into MP4 or let us say a recognizable HTML file because I want to upload it to Yammer in the company is quite difficult. So that care you have to take care. Having said that, the last slide for the session, please. I think I'm slightly overshot, but I will be able to leave the time open. These are all the references. Individual points also there have been source references. And the last slide is your time from now onwards. If you have any questions that are there, we'll take it. Last slide for the day, please. Thanks a lot for being a very patient audience and hearing me out.
Thank you, Gopal. So, Sandeep, we have a few questions in the chat box. Can you please take it? We have 3 minutes left.
Yeah, sure. Gopal, that was a great session. We have 3 questions now in the chat. First one is from Kumar, and it is related to the poll, the third poll. He asked, if we tell more in the introduction itself, will the people who are watching it be interested in our 3-minute full video?
No, the video itself should prompt to tell me more under 2 seconds. That's what I was trying to convey. In the introduction slide, it should prompt you to tell you more. I'm not sure if I phrased the question properly. If that is a mistake on my side, well, I beg to be corrected.
Okay.
I'm looking at my question. The intention of my question there was, what should your video do? It should prompt to tell you more. Only then the interest is sustained where you adopt to hook, line, and kill, right? That was what I wanted to say, because it was related to question number 2. If you want to lead to hook, line, and kill, in the first 2 seconds, you should be prompted, okay, what's more in that video? And you should be prompted to see more, right? Otherwise, you're just going to take your hands off and go to the next open browser window. That's what I was trying to convey. Have I answered?
Hope that answered Kumar. And we have the second question is also from Kumar. And we have a third question from Alpana. I'll just collate both the questions. Kumar's question is, what should be the ideal size of the video? And Alpana's question is, how we can resize a video without compromising the quality?
Fine. The first question will be anything under 4 MB that can transfer as a Outlook media file, Outlook mailbox size should be your size of the file that you want to transmit. And that depends on organization to organization. What is the attachment size? If the organization attachment size is 5 MB, I would restrict it to under 5 MB maximum. I will not go beyond. So that is exactly where I take care not to use higher end graphics. Alpana's question, how can I resize a file using higher end graphics? While I compile the project in Captivate or let us say in Camtasia, I do find a problem where it compiles and the high-end graphics are not visible in Captivate. In Camtasia, I'm sorry, I've not had the experience of viewing or seeing the final output. So I would like to hold back on that question, probably do some R&D and get back to you at a later point of time, which I definitely will, because there are a lot of such questions that came up. I think I'm running out of time. So there were a lot of questions that came to me prior to the session.
Yeah, Sandeep, let's take last 2 questions. The rest of you, please join Telegram or Slack group and we will answer it there. Sandeep, please just take last 2 questions.
Last 2 questions. One is from Chandalekha. How to make the product procedural videos more interesting?
the 3 factors that I told you. What is the problem statement, how to address the solution, and what are the benefits. Factor it 3 ways, it will work out perfectly fine. It will go like a song. So identify all the common procedures, group them as 1, group 2, group 3. For each group, what is the benefit, what is the solution? Okay.
Okay, last question from Tripti. With a dynamic product development cycle, wouldn't videos be difficult to update?
You're going by segments, right? You're
Yeah,
taking up each component segment and building that component related update. You could take it up at a later date whenever time permits. Definitely there will be some lean time in. So set of, let us say, if you're looking at more in terms of incremental additions to the video, I would suggest don't do that. Keep it as a part 2 to the video and develop a fresh video. Don't sit and go like you have main version, minor version, and then club all the minor version and come up with the next major version. Don't do that for videos. Have them as incremental. Tripti, to answer a specific question, the Adobe Spark itself, Tripti, he is giving me 3 sets of YouTube videos. One is for how to create a poster, one to create how to create a video, and one is something interactive graphic. Fine. So 3 things, 3 aspects, all 3 kept separately. He could have probably merged interactive graphic with the video, but he didn't do that. So that's a learning that I probably would love to share.